1. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Yeah, it's Jess and Erik. I know you missed us.
Yeah.
I know you missed us.
It's been a while.
Hello, Pink Skull. Hello, Pink Skull. Glad you're with us today. So if you've never been with us for Anime Book Club before, I'm Jess, and this is Erik. Hey, Erik.
Hey.
We're going to be talking about the current airing season of anime, and oh, excuse me, I just ate. So we're going to be talking about the full first half of the season for several shows that are airing. So if you're not current on a show, we may be talking about spoilers. Just be aware that's what we're here for, to rant and rave, because this season could never compare to the glory that is Odd Taxi. So
Yeah. We don't have an Odd Taxi this season,
we don't.
and so we can't expect that every season. But it's like once the bar is set, it's like dang.
Yep. So let's go ahead and get started. Are we good? Yep.
There we go.
I am full screened. Oh, sorry. Having some issues, technical issues. Give us just a second. Is it not viewing full screen for you? We got a lot of stuff. We're continuing a couple of series. This season that we started last season. Things like Tokyo Revengers, To Your Eternity. And then we're picking up new seasons of things we've done in the past. Like we watched part of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, part of the earlier part of season 2, and then they had a break, and then we watched Slime Diaries, and now we're watching the second part of season 2. So some of this you'll recognize.
We're slimed out. We're slimed out.
We've had so much slime. It's
we
really
also have the new series of Magica, the second season. Even though we didn't actually review the first season because that was out before we started doing book club.
Yeah, let me give you a review of the first season. It's boring. It's really boring. Did I mention that it's boring?
So the first season of Magica side story suffers from the fact that it's based on a gacha game. We can talk we could talk about that later, but it kind of suffered from the fact that there's just so many characters and so many plot points that is in there in order to like satisfy you as a gamer. But then like when it translates to an actual show, it's like, oh wait a minute, this is way too much. But second season fixes that a little bit.
Yeah. Oh. Thank you. Sorry, we're getting our technical issues fixed here with the full screen. So sorry about that. Ooh. I think now we're full screened. Okay, cool. So the first thing that we're watching is the second half of the second season of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, to give you a little bit of an update of where we left off with this series before we started watching Slime Diaries. Rinmaru has now become a demon lord and killed a whole bunch of people. Bunch of people.
I forgot the number, but it's really high. It's a really high number.
This was like 2 seasons ago was definitely the season of genocides, because we had a lot of those in a lot of these series, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a thing. It was in order to resurrect a whole bunch of people because they got attacked by the Holy Church and this Earth Kingdom called Falmouth all at the same time, and they killed a bunch of people, including Xion and stuff. And he resurrected all of these people with this thing that had a 3% chance of working, but it worked. And
of course,
now he's a demon lord.
Character. Like, what's the point of assigning a percentage rate when like he's the main character? It's like
exactly.
We know it's going. There's no point. You might as well just said it. You might as well have just said it's 100% success rate, because we know it's going to happen. So
for
whatever.
Real. But now we've been preparing for battle with this dude named Clayman for the last 6 episodes. That's where we've been at, is doing some political stuff, trying to reset up the Kingdom of Falmouth with his buddy, the human guy who hangs out with the wolf guy, who's in love with the chick that betrayed them but then turned. And he's gonna be like a shadow or a government for this Falmouth place. And then he made alliances with a bunch of the other Earth kingdoms so that he can take care of that. And now he's sending like forces to go fight Clayman's army. But then Clayman is also bringing all the demon lords together and has lied to them and told them that Renmaru killed the chick that, was evil but then turned good. But he didn't kill her because she's clearly still alive. And then also, you found out like 2 episodes ago, or maybe an episode ago, that Clayman has put, because Milim, who's like a really powerful Dark Lord, um, with really short, skimpy underwear for no real reason, but okay, we'll go with that, I
Yeah, that's her
guess.
thing.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable because she's like a lolly, and it's just very uncomfortable for me, but whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, she was kind of dumb and was like, "Oh, that's a pretty piece of jewelry. Oh, let me put it on you." And then totally got like taken over by a powerful spell. And now it's like just a puppet. And okay, I guess that's where we're at. And they're all meeting for Valpurgis night, which makes me think of Magica every
Yeah.
time somebody references it.
So it's funny that we're watching two shows that are slowly or are approaching Walpurgis Night at different speeds. Slime is like, hey, we'll get there. It's no big deal. It's not an emergency. It's coming. And so just Slime is such a slow show. Like there's always so much stuff happening, but it's like you're just constantly waiting for, okay, I got the politics. When is someone going to die? When is there going to be a fight? Not this episode, surely next episode, right? Next episode comes, all right, it didn't happen last episode, so it's got to happen this episode. Nah, we don't do that over here. And so Slime is
Yeah,
a really, really, really slow burn. um
it
and
is,
I don't
especially this season.
I mean, last season had that issue too, because you may have forgotten, but we waited a long, long time for them to get to the point where Rimuru like massacred those
That's
people.
true. Yeah,
And
that's
so
true. I wasn't. I was thinking he wasn't going to do it, but then he did it. He absolutely
he
did
did
it.
it. He
Murdered every
absolutely
single
did.
one of them.
And so I still feel that Reincarnated as a Slime is one of the best isekais. There's a lot, and so I do think Reincarnated as a Slime sits somewhere in the top 10.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's not
so
a one joke show. I think that's what makes it pretty good. Like I,
yeah,
I always appreciate isekais that are like, okay. So we watched like the first episode or two of Bofuri. I want to increase my defense or whatever. That felt like a one joke show. Like the same joke in different formats over and
yeah.
over again, but it felt like a one joke show.
Yeah. So like I think Reincarnated Slime is still a really, really good show. It's just that you have to have patience. If you're looking for like every single week somebody's dying and we're having like lots of bloodshed and action packed, it's not going to give that to you. But I do feel like even though it takes so long to get to certain plot points, um it doesn't super complicate things. Like there are a lot of moving pieces right now, but it's not quite the same like problem we had with Log Horizon, where it's like, oh wait a minute, I have to memorize 10 different nations worth of politics,
Yeah.
and they're all having conversation at the same time, and it's like you gotta have like a Venn diagram about who, oh, this person's with this and this is with that, and it's like it became too much.
Yeah. No,
Rimuru,
I
whenever he
agree.
has like these political deals, it takes up the whole episode, and so you have the whole episode to digest this one aspect. And even though
Yep.
that slows down the pace, it's more digestible, and it has a really big payoff. Because I think right now, I think we finally are at the episode before where the fight's going to happen. I think we are really at that point this time. So hopefully we can get some action in there. Because I really do enjoy
Yeah.
it when they actually do
Yeah.
fight.
However, this photo unfortunately is missing everybody's favorite himbo because the great dragon Veldora is back, and he is
He
just
is.
some. He's in some blonde dude body, and he is a total and complete himbo. Okay, 110%.
Yeah,
He's like
I do like
reading manga on the couch.
their new suits though. Their black suits are really nice.
That's true. That's true. I like the new kind of evil dude that's following him too, Diablo or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm a big fan of his. Big fan of his. Everything else is largely the same. It's a nice change of pace from the slice of life that was the Slime Diaries, because we're back to actual storyline and stuff. And we're
Yeah.
actually fighting people now. There was actually a battle in the last episode. Took us a while
Yeah,
to get
at the
there,
very
but
end.
there was a battle. It was
Yeah.
great. All right. Anything else you got about Slime too?
No, no. I think slime is pretty good. I think even with the slow pace, it is maybe my favorite of the season. Maybe, I'm not sure. I'll give you a definite answer before the stream is over. But I think it might be where it's at.
Okay. Okay. Fair. 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 Sorry. There we go.
All right,
All right.
Kobayashi's Dragon
Kobayashi's
Maid.
Dragon Maid S. So season 2.
S, yeah. I
I
don't know what the
watched
S
about
means.
half
Super.
of. Mm, it's not Sailor Moon. Okay. uh, No, I watched the first season and I didn't get into this show like other people did. But I don't hate it, and I don't hate it. So I watched the first episode of Kobayashi Dragon Maid S, and it's got the little girl with the pink hair is introduced as a new character, and she just gave me war flashbacks to watching Aiken, okay? Because her
Yeah,
bazongas are enormous and
it's
unnecessarily enormous. It's really not necessary as a character design. You have a show
and the
full
crazy.
of people with giant racks, you know? Like
So
main
so
character chick
so here's
has no, go
I was,
ahead.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say, here's the thing. So at the very beginning of season one, they introduced a plot aspect that's saying, "Oh, the dragons are super powerful, and because of that, when they take on a human form, they all have big breasts." And it was like, okay, that's why we have Toru, and then we have I forgot her name, the one with the green hair, and then we have all, and then even my favorite girl, Elma, has big breasts, and so it's like, oh, that's the running gag for all the dragons. But then they introduce Kana, and it's, oh, but she's a kid though. Like it doesn't apply to her. She's just a little kid. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
thank you at least for not. Thank you for that. And
Giving
so
the
season two
child giant
comes.
bazongas, but then
Yeah,
yeah,
and then
no,
season two comes,
Lulu
and
or
I'm like, oh, wait,
whatever.
wait, wait, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We're going to scratch off that asterisk on the little children part, and we're just going to introduce her. And the manga's even worse. Like they actually scaled it down a little bit for the anime, and
It's
it's like
ridiculous. And
it's
I was
so
convinced I
much.
was gonna hate this show after that. But it's not so bad. It's been like in the last couple of episodes, it's been very we're gonna explore this dragon's relationship with their human kind of one by one. Because you had the little boy and the one with the big knockers on the left there.
Yeah, the
Uh
boy's name is he's even named Shota. That's
yeah,
his
yeah,
name.
his name is Shota.
And I'm
This
like,
is
really?
true.
Is that's like Dragon Maid is really good, but then sometimes you're like, okay, this is almost lazy writing at this point.
Yeah.
So his
Then you've
name is
got like
Shota.
the surly dude dragon that plays video games and his like
Yeah,
human,
Fafnir.
and then like the office work with the one that you like the one that you
Yeah, that's
like.
Elma.
There's like a whole episode of office work,
And
but
then
so
the
far
greener
it's
is
just been like
Luqua.
it's been fluffy stuff so far in this season. The only real, I guess, ongoing plot you have is the new dragon girl who shows up and she's like, "I hate humans. We hate humans," and then of course starts interacting with Kobayashi and is like, "Oh no, you're actually really great." And I'm just saying, isn't that the plot of the whole show? Like
Yeah, I mean
I don't know.
that's pretty much the plot. Apparently, Kobayashi has, I don't know, this ability that other humans also have to like really connect with dragons, because they're like, oh, all these dragons like have like these bad experiences with humans, and like they don't really try to attempt to connect with them. But then they all meet Kobayashi, and of course she's like the Naruto character. It's like, oh, once you interact
Of
with me,
course.
your whole worldview is going to change. And so, but the thing is, like, it's not. There's nothing unique. I mean, Kobayashi is a really nice girl. She's a really nice person. She has a good, sensible head. And so, but the thing is, like, all the other humans have the exact same situation where they meet
Yeah.
their companion partner or whatever, and it's like, oh, this person changed my worldview. Like, okay,
Yeah.
um, but of course, the new pink haired girl meets Kobayashi, and they introduce her, and her first plot point is that she decides she's going to turn Kobayashi into a guy
Into a
in order
man.
to
Yep.
mess up
With
her
with
relationship
full
with Toru.
apparatus.
And so
Yep.
and so and so that, of course, that fails. If anything, that makes it, I don't know. Toru was like, "Oh yeah, you're a guy now. Let's have babies." And like, okay, all right. So of course that failed. And honestly, her plot reminded me of, I don't know if anyone watched season 3 of Digimon. There was like a Digimon named Mon, and her story is almost exactly the same as that Digimon. And so I feel like I've already seen this one, and pretty much it's the same thing as all the other dragons, like you said. But that's Dragon Maid. I don't
Yeah.
think the plot's going to get that much more, deeper than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's cute. I don't hate it, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot there for me. You know, I
Yeah,
don't know. Maybe I'm spoiled because we had a good season last season. I don't know.
yeah. I did appreciate. I really appreciate that they went to the backstory of Elma and Toru because we always
Yeah.
knew that Elma and Toru hated each other, but they never really said why. And then we always knew Toru was part of the Chaos faction and Elma was part of the Peace faction. And then we find out that even though Elma is really smart, she's actually an idiot. And so even though she's a peace dragon, like the presence or absence of food completely causes her moral compass to like waver way too much.
Yes.
And
Yes,
so she
indeed.
was, and apparently Toro was the one who was right. Apparently a religion was being formed around Elma, and they were about to start a civil war with the other neighboring nations over the religion that they started for Elma. And Toro was like, hey, I'm going to destroy your temple because we can't be having that happen. You're part of the peace faction. You really shouldn't be allowing a civil war to unfold in your name. And Emma literally says, "But they made me really good food, so I'll allow
They
it."
did. Yeah, I'll allow it. It's okay. You know,
And
easily
so
bought. Easily bought.
it's fun to see her story. We also get to see a lot of Saikawa, which is the little girl that that accompanies Kana, and
Yep.
she is the thirstiest person in the desert.
Yes,
she
absolutely. She is incredibly. Oh, we touched hands. I'm just going to like explode. And that's what she is. That's exactly what she is. I like when they play Monopoly and she's intentionally losing so she can touch Kana. She's like,
yeah.
"Oh, I
So
lost. Oh, I have to give you a massage. Oh, I lost."
it didn't even Kana was like, "Hey, are you losing on purpose?" He's like, "Oh no, I would never. I would never." So it's fun to see their reactions. I hope Saikawa actually finds out that Kana's a dragon because I feel like that's going to add some like change to kind of like because right now it's a little bit formulaic. We kind of know what everyone's
Yeah.
interactions are going to be like. So I do hope
Yeah.
they do something to change things up a little bit. But it's
That would be
lighthearted.
nice.
It's fun. The opening is really good
Yeah.
as all as well.
Yeah. Agreed. I don't hate watching it. It's okay. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Oh, but guess what's better? It's definitely Villainess. I still love
Okay.
it. I still love every second of it. I don't think this season is as good as last season. So,
I like Villainous as well. I do feel like Villainous is kind of like so in season one we watched Villainous and the main plot was she has to avoid her doom flags and we all knew that we all knew the doom flags are already over but it was a big deal for her. She has to avoid the doom flag. She has to make it through the end of the game, quote unquote. And so there
right.
still felt like there was a driving force behind everything. Now it's kind of like
Well,
everyone's
it
just
feels like they're
there and they kind
throwing
of
it
even
feels like
recycle
they're
a bunch of the plot points from season one, like she gets kidnapped
they do
and
and
then
it
they
feels
have a
like
dream
they're
fantasy type doll house thing too. It now happened in season one as well, so they are reusing a
Oh,
lot of the
see,
plot points from season one.
I kind of liked the dollhouse one, but I'll get back to that. It feels like they're throwing crap at walls and seeing what sticks because we had a kidnap plot at first, and then we had trying to like then Giordo makes a move plot, and then we had this like dream like magical item plot. And it just feels kind of random. Like every 2 episodes or so is a new sort of weird plot point, and it's like it feels like a show that doesn't have an overarching story already written, and I know it does because this exists as light novels, but and they're just trying to figure it out episodically like day to day. But I actually
Yeah,
kind of liked the fantasy dream house episode has been my favorite episode so far for a couple of reasons. Number one, I loved Alan as a bird. Okay, he's like, oh, it's my
yeah,
fantasy.
that
Well,
was
then
really
I'm
good.
gonna be a bird. Like I'm just gonna fly around and be a freaking bird. And I love that. And then you get to like the ladies took the cake though. You get to
Yeah,
freaking Maria, and Maria's like, I wish I was a burly giant monster to make better cakes and pastries so I
it
could
also
knead
should be
the dough
mentioned.
better.
It should be mentioned that Maria was the only person whose ideal world or fantasy did not include Katerina. She just wants to
It's
like,
true.
hey, I want to bake bread, and that's what I want to do. And everyone else
Yep.
is like, their whole mindset just revolves around Katerina. And I think
Yep.
that's part of the reason why I I mean I don't dislike this season. It's just I'm not um as impressed as I was in season one, because it feels like some of
Yeah,
the characters are almost being reverse developed. I don't know what word would you use, because like everyone had like, oh, Alan plays the piano and he has this complex where he doesn't want to feel inferior to his older brother, and everyone has these like things about them that define them as a character. And then season two, it feels like we're ditching a lot of those things, and
yeah,
their focus is simply Katarina. That's all they're going to
I
think
agree.
about. That's all that motivates
Well,
them, and there's
I
nothing
I agree
beyond
with you
that.
on that point. However, there's like one scene that I did appreciate where Alan and Mary are like making a pact because they both are in love with Katarina, but they both kind of realize that it's probably not possible. And so, I mean, I liked that part because it's
Yeah.
self aware. I like the fact that they're self aware. You know what I mean? More than a lot of people in this show.
I think Mary and Alan are respectively the best boy and best girl in the show at this point.
Agreed. So
We got to
Mary
see,
is
we
Eric's
got to
favorite
see
character, and Alan is mine. So
So we got to see Mary's dream, where Mary's ideal world is she turns into a boy and and takes everything. She takes the throne. She takes Katharina. She just wants it
yup,
all, and she wants
yup.
to like stomp on people and laugh in their face over the fact that she won. And Mary definitely was the most ambitious out of all the dreams that we saw in the
Yup.
dollhouse episode.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought the one with the cat was really weird. And after you saw Alan as a bird and that other dude who's real pretty as a cat, I'm like, well, that's kind of derivative. Like, oh, he's a pretty cat that wants to curl up on Katarina's lap. Oh, okay, I guess. But
Yeah, we got to see
whatever.
what is Sophia, is that her name? The white haired girl. She just wants to be a fairy and have adventures with
Yeah.
Katharina. But then we get to see Keith, the little brother. He wants to be a girl and have his
It was
and have
totally
Katharina become
gender
the boy.
swapped.
Yeah, he
I was
wants
gonna
to
say
gender
everybody
swap.
was
That
gender
way she can
swapped.
defend
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. That
And
was a cute
so
episode though.
it was funny. It was
I
funny
thought
because
it
all the
was.
female voice actors did such a good job at like pitching down their voice in order to sound like their male counterpart. While all the guys, it
Yep.
was like, oh, like, this is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It sounded a little silly. It was pretty cute though. But we got another half a season of this, and I mean, it does not have a compelling overarching plot like the last season did, and it's not as good for that reason. But I still like watching it. I still, you know what I
Yeah,
mean. I'm still invested. I still, I still want to know,
yeah.
and it's animated really nicely, so I can't argue with that.
It is. It is. Another show that has a really good opening. One thing I just really want from the show, I want Katharina to be less dumb, because like they're really playing up the fact that like she just can't pick up any hints at all. Like
Oh yeah,
literally, two
like she
people have kissed
she
her at
thought
this
she was
point.
dreaming the first time Giordo kissed her, and then he did it. And he's like, "No, here, check this out. I'm gonna be really forward. this is
Yeah,
this
what's
is
what's the new
this is
guy's
what it
name?
is."
Is it Sora? The blue hair? Is it Sora or something like that? He he literally pinned her down on a bed and kissed her, and she was like,
Yep.
"Oh, what is this bite mark on my neck? Is there a bug in my bed?" I'm like, "Please, what are you
Yeah. Come on.
what are
Come
you
on.
doing?" So
Yeah.
I
It's
just
a
hope
little
they
too
they
obtuse
they
there.
don't lean as much into her being just really dumb, because
Yeah.
that gets a little old at a certain point. But
Yeah.
they might be retiring that plot soon.
I would hope so. But oh, Higurashi. Oh, there were developments in Higurashi this week. The newest episode had a pretty big development. So, to give
Today's
you
episode, you watched
updates,
today, or you know, or last week, right?
the one where she's turning into a witch at the end.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So
That's
that was
that's the
last
last
week.
one I've seen. Okay,
And
if one came
so
out today, I haven't watched it yet. So
gotcha,
I
gotcha.
haven't watched the one today yet. So you ended. So Higurashi Go was the first season, and Higurashi Sotsu is the second season here. At the end of the first season, uh, Satoko is now has not only the same powers as what's the other girl's name?
Rika.
Rika, as Rika, but she's also torturing Rika because in the earlier timelines, Rika got out, went to a different school, and then Sadako, even though she watched 100 years of backstory video, couldn't be bothered to study, which is dumb. I'm going to be real. That's
Yeah.
a real dumb plot point. And instead of studying, she's now fixated on keeping Rika in the town of Hinamatsuri or whatever.
Hinamatsu, Hinazawa.
Hinamatsuri. I don't know. Hinamizawa. You're right. You're right. I don't know. Hinamatsuri is a flower
That's an
festival.
anime
I'm
convention, isn't
sorry.
it?
No, it's not an anime convention. I'm pretty sure it's like a flower festival thing. I don't know. Whatever.
Oh. But
Hinamizawa. There we go. All right.
so
But
the
yeah,
the worst part
we've
is
had a
that
lot of that.
Satoko, even when she watched the 100 years of Rika suffering, she had all the information presented to her about why Rika so desperately wants something else from her life than to be in the same town for 100 years, right? She got to see what reason could the princess or the princess of the town possibly have to want to leave, and she got to see it firsthand, and she couldn't relate. She couldn't relate. She couldn't even be like, "Oh, you know what? I get it. You've been suffering for a long time in this town. You probably would want to move and see some new sights." Like, she just couldn't even relate. And that's the thing.
Nope.
That's the thing why I hate Satoko so much. Because
Yeah.
she's just
Yeah.
this little gremlin that is just like, even before all this, I hated her because like the prank she pulled is just so like terrible, right? She puts thumbtacks in door handles so that people like prick their hands when they open up a door handle. If a little kid put a thumbtack in the dumb in the door handle, I would kick them in the chest. Like that's unreasonable right there. I wish somebody would put a thumbtack in the door handle while I'm trying to open the door. So it's like she's always been this little spiteful gremlin, and I've always hated her. And now it's just like we're watching her just be like her very worst, and she's like
Yeah.
killing all her friends, and
Yep.
she just
She's
can't relate.
like,
These are her
oh,
friends.
like Mion or whatever, her friend with the green
Yeah,
hair. Oh, you've not been a part of this. Here, let me make you have the disease because you
she
haven't
literally
done it
said,
yet.
"Wouldn't it be
And
funny if Mion got the disease and went crazy? Wouldn't that be funny if one of my friends
wouldn't that?
lost their mind?" Really,
Yeah,
that's the
it's
joke of
just
the day.
fun,
Really.
for funsies. So what?
So
This whole season has been cycle after cycle after cycle of Satoko doing different stuff, doing like having different people do it. There was actually a really cool cycle where the short-haired chick that likes to cook totally murdered her father's like prostitute lover in a car graveyard, and that was a delightful set of episodes. I liked that one. That one was really interesting. But now, like 3 episodes ago, it was established by like the celestial being that's helping out Sadako and is like amused by Sadako, that if Rika dies before, or if she dies before Rika dies in any timeline, she won't follow Rika to the next timeline. She'll be on a different path, like a different cycle. And and then at the last episode, not this episode that came out today, but the episode that came out last week, um, Sadako has been setting up this whole thing where she's brought her abusive uncle, who isn't abusive to her anymore and now will do anything she says, back to town to try to gaslight on both sides that she's getting beat up by the town and bullied to her uncle. But then her uncle is like a cause for concern for everybody in the town because he's like has this history of violence and stuff. And so she's like playing both sides. And at the end of the episode, she can't control herself and turns into like wicked Sadako with these weird eyes. And then the witch lady is laughing at her, going, "Oh, you've turned into a witch now. You've gone too far. You can't turn back." And it's like,
yeah,
oh,
and
okay.
so that was like every few episodes they throw in more tie-ins to the side, not the side, sorry, but the like the sister series Yumi Neko, where all the characters from Higurashi have like a witch equivalent. And so
Yeah.
we and so I stressed this a lot last time when we were reviewing Higurashi. The creator like kept saying all these years like, no, they just have similar character designs, but these two shows aren't connected at all. Like there's no connection to them. And he really tried to make us buy it for like literally a decade. And so now he's like, you know what? They're all connected. Like here's the origin story of Lama Delta. Like here's how she started off as Satoko, and now she's a witch in Yumi Neko. And then here's the story of
Yeah.
Birkenstell. She's just Rika. And so it's really fulfilling after all these years to like have all these floating fan theories, because there's literally entire community built up just around fan theories about how Higurashi and Yumi Neko is related. And so after all these years, it's like, oh yeah, everything you thought is exactly how it is. Um, we
Yeah.
never expected Satoko to be this bad though. That was quite a shock. But yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and we're still in cycles. And we continue. Who knows how long we're going to be in this cycle, and how long, and how much it's going to corrupt people and stuff. So
the
look
one thing
forward
about
to
watching
a
Higurashi
whole nother. Go ahead.
I was saying the only thing about watching Higurashi is that I appreciate that this season exists and this series exists. I appreciate that it exists. I like the franchise overall, but every single episode is either so depressing or just leaves you with this bad taste in your mouth that I cannot
Yep.
say that I enjoy any particular episode, because I hate watching Satoko win. And this whole season
Yeah.
is just Satoko getting what she wants, like, and just screwing over everyone in town. And it just leaves you
Yep.
like feeling like you just like ate sawdust. like and
Yeah.
so
I mean, you're not
and
wrong.
so
You're not
I'm
wrong.
just waiting for like I'm just waiting for her to get her comeuppance. And it's just been such a long process. It's like, wait a minute, please just end this arc. I need to see that gun scene from season one, and to see how that plays out.
Yep. Yep. All right. So Magia record, Magica Gaiden 2, season 2.
yeah.
We've only got 3 episodes of this so far, and honestly, they're not. Well, the first episode and the second episode are not super connected. Um,
Yeah.
like you've got one
The crazy
episode about the characters. Go ahead.
the crazy part is that episode one of season two of Gaiden is actually how, like, so this whole series is based on a gotcha game, and episode one is actually how the gotcha game starts. And so it's really funny that it's not until season two that we get to see the very beginning of the gotcha game, and we get and that's
Yeah.
how the gotcha game introduced like all the new characters. Oh, all the main characters, they're about to go to this town nearby and investigate all these weird happenings. And then that's how they set up you being in this town that's not the main town from Madoka. And
Right.
so it's really funny that they waited till season two in order to like give you that information. But
Yeah.
it makes sense when you look
It
at it,
doesn't
because
make
it
season one
happens
any
after the
less
events of season
boring.
one. What'd you say?
It doesn't make season one any less boring. Okay, and
Yeah,
so far too is still pretty boring. So if you skip over the old character Madoka stuff, that so far, Iroha has disappeared from the first series, and she did this thing that they kind of explain a little bit in the first part of this series than I think they did in the last one, where when they start to turn into a witch, instead of turning into the witch, they can split their personality into what they call a doppel. And then they can avoid becoming a witch, and basically, it's serving what seems to be the same function as cleaning your soul gem with a grief seed. Like
yeah,
it's just taking all that witch crap and putting it outside of you. But then the witch that is outside of your doppel can still cause trouble. Because in the third episode, they're fighting essentially Iroha's doppel, and she's been stuck in some realm, and you actually get to see her little sister, which I told Eric via chat earlier. I didn't believe her little silly existed. I thought it was all in her head. Like the whole first season, you got no view of her little sister whatsoever. And I'm like, okay, so is her little sister real? Is she an implanted memory? I mean, is it another aspect of her? I mean, there's a million things because this show could go anywhere, you know?
yeah. So we're finally starting to see the backstory of what's happening or how everything started happening. We still don't understand what happened to the little sister, but we have pretty much confirmed that she does exist almost.
Yeah.
And we get to see how her two friends are now leading. Or what is it? I forgot for the name of the
The
organization that
the
they have.
organization that's trying to save the organization that's fighting against blue-haired not Homura chick
Yeah.
that's trying to save all the witches by we found out by making doppels so that you don't have to fight witches and that all the magical girls saved and this and that. But yeah.
So on paper, it sounds like a good deal, like that they don't have to like use grief season or purify their gems anymore, and they can just make the doppel. It sounds like a good deal on paper, but then there's this other white-haired girl that's like, I don't know, she's like the secretary of this like hideout that they have. I don't know, but she keeps saying, "Oh yeah, it sounds like a good deal at first, but it has really bad consequences and it's super addictive." And so that's why they're kind of like still trying to fight against the doppels, even though it's super convenient. Um,
Yeah.
it's just that like I don't dislike anything about this show. It's just that I'm not super interested in the main characters because we have Iraha. She's pretty much like they do the exact same thing did for Monica. They do for her, where they like idealize her and say, "Oh, she's like this super nice girl that like always looks at the better looks at the best in people and like doesn't make judgments about people, and she's like pure hearted and she's just pretty much perfect, and there's no reason to ever like think anything negative about her." And that's pretty much what both of those characters are. And
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, that doesn't really equate to a personality though, right?
Nope. No,
And
it doesn't.
so
And Homura too is like totally involved in getting her back, like they're BFFs, and I'm just like, why?
so
Like, why do you care so much? Because
yeah,
she
so
also
she
had
so
her friend who's the white-haired chick who was friends with her for a long time, and now is part of the evil organization. And she thought it died, but is now part of the evil organization. And it's like, okay. I mean, it made sense that she cared about the white-haired chick. It doesn't make sense that she cares so much about Iroha to a degree.
so it's just that Iroha made a promise to her saying that, oh yeah, all your friends that like you had to like abandon or died or like just you split ways with, like I promise I'll always be there. I'm not going to die on you. And that was their bond, that she promises that she's going to be the one friend that's always going to be there. And so she's desperate to protect that. I think she's a little excessive about it, but I mean at the same time, like they are friends, so
I
I
mean,
guess
they're
you
friends, but
should try to,
it felt
if
it
your friend
felt
go missing, you
really
should try to look for them.
standoffish.
I mean,
I don't know
so
if it felt that they felt really standoffish in the first season, especially
yeah,
Homura too. I think she felt really standoffish, and it just feels like a little bit of an about face in this season. But
yeah. I mean,
I
they
guess I
pretty
get
much
it.
just
But
copied. They pretty much just copy and pasted Homer's obsession about Monica, transferred it to this new girl. Um,
yeah,
and it's like, yeah, she's Homura too, but and she's like a popular model version of Homura. And you would
yeah,
think that would make me like her as a character, but for some reason she's just not as interesting. I don't know.
I agree. I agree. Well, we're not very far into the series yet because it started on a later time schedule than the rest. So we'll be further into it in our next segment at the end of the season. So,
Yeah.
To Your Eternity has been continuing this season.
Yo,
At the end of last season was when we lost our beloved Gugu, and I miss him so much.
To
And
Your
basically every
Eternity is
episode
just
since then.
dead children of
Go ahead.
animation. To Your Eternity is
Yeah,
just
it's
dead children of animation. Like no
you're
child
not
is safe
wrong.
in this show.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Like
Um, this whole season or half season, the three third piece of this season or whatever is has been the same arc. He and PR and the old lady wind up leaving the whole town with that Gugu was in and stuff, and they get put on a boat to a prison colony. And in the prison colony, they meet this little like gang of children who like young people who are trying to like get everybody off of the island because they're it's prisoners and families of prisoners, and they've made their own culture, and they have this largely pointless Thunderdome kind of event where they all kill each other and whoever wins becomes the chief, but it's only the chief for like a week or so before somebody
Because
kills
then he
them,
gets
and
killed
then
and
they
they
do
start it
it all
over.
over again. Yeah, and there's a lot of like betrayal in that and stuff. But his new BFF is this little girl named, oh well, she's like a teenager. I think her name is Tonari, and they wind up uh they wind up getting him as an immortal and as a known immortal into this Thunderdome thing, and he's just murdering everybody. He's trying not to murder everybody, but he wins every battle because he's
Yeah.
immortal. And what are they gonna
Like,
do? You know?
I was sitting there the whole time watching the fights, and I'm like, how, like, is no one even going to be like, hey, we have a death battle against a man that can't die. Should he
I
be
know. Why
allowed
would
to
you even go
participate
into
in
the
this
ring?
competition? like,
Why
like,
would you even go? Why would you even go at that point? But they did. And then you got some backstory, like Tonari's dad was falsely accused of killing their mom, or her mom, and had to go to the prison colony and all of this. And they were told to bring Fushi there, because flashback to the March storyline, and the crazy lady from the other town that was manipulating the one town with their religious beliefs has now returned, and is now she's the final battle against Fushi, and she has some weird plan to rule over this stuff and to keep Fushi prisoner and all of this. And she's gone crazy and has like these weird teardrop scars, but
yeah,
she
because
winds up
Fushi turned into when he turned to a bear and messed her face up. That's his claw
oh
marks.
yeah,
That-
that is true. That is true. But she's got like she's just had a bad time. But she winds up defeating him by giving him sleeping potion that they used on them with the food and stuff.
yeah,
In the first or second arc, and
but during
so
the fight,
she winds
you
up.
find out that she killed Perona. They
Yeah,
they
she
did Perona
totally
so
killed Perona.
dirty. They had her die off screen, right?
Yep.
Like,
And Fushi
and
just
I'm
turns
like,
into Perona one day and is like, "Oh, I guess she's dead now." It's like,
yeah.
"Yep, she's dead."
And so
But now he
and
gets
so
to
this
fight
one,
as Perona, so that's kind of cool. But yeah.
yeah,
But they try to kidnap Fushi, and now Fushi has escaped with. They wound up. Tonari wound up taking all of the other people finally off, or a lot, not all. They took like the children and some key adults to like watch them to make sure that the children got off of the island on like the ship. But Tonari came back to rescue Fushi, but Fushi, she goes, she left a note in like a glove and tried to like dip it down where they were holding Fushi, and it says,
and
"Turn
it's
into
like,
a
bro, what
mole
are you
and get
doing?
inside
I'm
the
already
glove."
saved. Like,
Yeah, and then Fushi comes up behind her like, "What are you doing here?" Like already out of the hole, and like just he's,
like
he's already
he's like,
past
I'm an
that. We're
immortal that can
past
turn
that
into
phase.
any animal I want. Like, what do you think you're doing? like, I'm good. and,
It was a
and
very good
so,
scene.
but you know the moment the moment that happens. Like, oh, she came back for him. She, red flag. She's gonna die. Like, she's gonna
Yep,
die.
of course.
And
Of
so,
course, because
of
she's
course,
she's his BFF in this arc, and his BFFs always die so he can turn into them later. That's a thing.
also she
Gugu
has an
was never
ability.
going to live. I love Gugu so much, but he was
Gugu
never
had
going to
anybody that
live.
has any usefulness has to die because
Of course.
Fushi has to take their usefulness. She apparently has an immunity to the sleeping potion because every time
Yep.
someone tries to drug her with that sleeping potion, she wakes up in like 10 minutes, and they're always like, "What are you doing? We gave you like how are you awake?" And they haven't explicitly said it yet, but like it's very clear that when she dies, Fushi's going to get the ability to like take the drug or not be affected by the potion,
Yep.
and now be how he
Yep.
fights back. But
Yep. Exactly.
in the most recent episode, things went down because the knockers came, and they have this new ability where they can implant themselves into dead corpses
Yep.
and take
Now we
over
got
even
zombies.
living corpses. And so,
Yep. We that was like the last episode. Now we got zombies. Now we've got
yeah,
zombies.
and so almost all the
So I don't
kids
know where we're
die.
going with that.
Like, oh, they all just start dropping like flies. Like they so
all of
after
all of their kid gang, all of their children's gang is like dead now, okay, except for Tonari. Like all the rest of them have died. Their children's gang is
Yeah.
dead. So
Like they shouldn't
yeah,
even they
and one
shouldn't
of
even
them is already a
came. They was
zombie,
on
if
the
not more.
island. Like so the thing about it, so here's the issue I have with 2 Year Eternity right now. Um it still tries to have this emotional weight type deal where like characters you like are going to die. I don't really care about these kids honestly, but
Yeah, I don't either.
they believe that you as a viewer you should care about the children. But these kids are some of these kids are kind of bad. Like Tanari, I hate her. She's kind of bad.
Yep.
But but
Let
like
me be
it's
clean
still
for
try to have the
stream, but
same.
F those kids. F those kids.
Yeah,
That's that's
yeah.
what it is. All right.
So it still try to have the same setup as the other arcs, where it's like, okay, we're gonna watch some like important characters die, but like we don't care about them. We don't care about these characters now, and
Nope.
we already know the setup. We already look before the moment the arc started. Be like, okay, that person's not gonna make it. That person's probably not gonna make it. That one's definitely not gonna make it, right?
Yep.
And so at this point, they needed to switch it up, and also the plot feels like so convenient on so many levels because we find out that
No, well,
the lady from the first thing arranged for food to get on the island. She somehow found him and then had enough influence at the port town in order to convince
to
Tonery to
have
like
him. Yep.
convince food to get on the ship and stuff. And then she somehow signed herself up for the competition, even though she's not an inmate somehow. And then she
Yep.
managed to beat Fu in a fight, even though he turned into a 100-foot bear, and he even
Yeah.
turned into Gugu. And she just overpowered everything he had, even though she shouldn't even know all his forms. And so there's just
Yep.
so many
She
things that
shouldn't.
just like, oh, that's real convenient that it happened that way.
Well,
And
I'm
so
not I'm not sold on this zombie stuff yet. Like this seems really random and arbitrary that all of a sudden we like knockers can resurrect corpses. Like that just seems so outside of the scope of this show, you know? It doesn't feel like it's the same show.
yeah, if anything, it's been hinted in the opening since episode one because the opening has like all these scenes. The opening shows the zombies and stuff, and so I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't like all those scenes in the opening feels like almost a completely different anime. But now we're finally
It
at that
does.
point, and so
It's just weird.
it's just so many
I don't know
it's
if
just
I'm
so
going to
many
like it
things
all
that
the
just
way to
don't
the
make any
end.
sense. And then we
Yeah.
also get to see that woman she's really crazy at this point. Like I think she's trying to like I think she's trying to have sex with Fushi. She might be trying to have his baby. I don't know, but like she drugged him and had him on a bed, and she definitely was going to
Yeah.
like rape him if somebody hadn't walked in. And so I
Yeah,
don't.
it was
All these
very
plot points just
weird.
make no sense to me.
Yeah,
But
it's all very strange and you don't really know what her motivation is yet and I don't know. I don't know. But I guess we'll find out cuz we'll finish the series for you. Don't worry.
yeah,
Oh, I can't believe Eric made me watch this show. I cannot believe
all
that
right,
my poor eyeballs had to watch this show. Okay?
okay.
I'm going to rate it 80% of a Yashahime. 80%.
80% of a Yashahime, 80 whole
Yes.
percent of a Yashahime. That's
80%
rude.
of a
That's
Yashahime.
rude. That's
No,
actually
this
pretty
show is
rude.
rude. This show is
Okay,
offensively bad. Okay?
it's not. It's
Offensively
not bad.
bad.
So
No,
it's
no,
not
no.
bad.
I take back every bad thing I ever said about quintuplets. I take it all back. Because I would rather have 4 more seasons of quintuplets than to have to watch another episode of the hottest garbage that is out this season, which is
Okay,
this show. The
okay.
hottest
On that
garbage.
note, on that note, I feel like we are a little bit extra harsh on quintuplets because when we're doing this, we're in critique mode. And so after we had the season of quintuplets, I went back and watched some of it a little bit and digested it again. And like quintuplets actually wasn't as bad as we were claiming during
Oh,
the
it's
stream.
not as bad as
But
this, but still the
okay,
characters took really weird turns in it, and I still didn't like it. But yeah, this is garbage.
it is
This
not.
is
It's not
garbage.
garbage. This isn't
Oh,
garbage. So girlfriend,
it is
the plot
hot
of
garbage. This
girlfriend,
is this
it's
is a
absurd.
dumpster rolling down the road on fire. That's what
Okay,
this
but that's
show
not a
is.
bad thing. That's not a
Oh,
bad
no,
thing. We
no.
watched
This
dumpster fires before and we celebrated them.
this isn't a Fast and the Furious movie, okay? This is
No,
actual hot
no,
garbage,
no.
okay?
So okay,
Actual hot garbage.
at the beginning of the season, I believe that girlfriend was going to be the final piece in the trinity of dumpster fires. I thought we had domestic girlfriend, rent a
I watched all of
girlfriend,
Domestic
and
Girlfriend.
girlfriend. I thought that was
Rent
the
a Girlfriend was also
triforce
very good.
of dumpster fires, and I thought this was going to complete the holy set, right? I don't think girlfriend is quite on the level to complete the set, but I don't think it's garbage. I'm not going to prop it up as being like the third prophet, but but
Oh,
I don't think
it
it's
makes me
bad.
want to vomit every time I have to watch an episode. I cannot
I think you're taking it too
believe.
seriously. I
Oh,
think you're
it's
taking
so
it too
bad.
seriously.
No,
The
I
show the
was
show doesn't even take
super.
itself that seriously.
No, it's so bad though. The concept is so stupid. It's so incredibly stupid.
Okay,
I can't.
for those that don't know, the concept of the girlfriend is the main character. He spends years trying to axe out the red haired girl, and she constantly turns him down, and he's just like super over the top, and he always says exactly how he feels. He has no filter, and he's just like this really seemingly good guy that just wants to be there for the girl that he loves, and
Keyword
and and
there
she's
is
kind of like she's a
seemingly.
little soon.
Seemingly.
Yeah, seemingly she's a little soon, and she kind of rejects him, but she finally says, fine, all right, I'll go out with you. So so after all this time in episode 1, they finally start dating, but then blue hair girl is like, hey, I've been spending the last year of my life preparing for this moment. I learned how to cook. I did my hair, and I've done all these things in order to improve
Oh,
myself, that way I can
you're not
confess
even
my.
selling it. You're not selling it enough, okay? She
Okay, i'm
comes
just
in
i'm
and
just
she's
telling you.
like, "I've spent 8 hours a day training myself how to be a world-class chef. I've been working out 4 hours a night to make sure my body is perfect." I mean, it is extreme.
Okay, it is
Absolutely
extreme.
extreme.
So, so she finally confesses to him, and he's like, "Man, that was such a good confession. Like, I know you're a good girl at heart, and you're just such a good person that I can't even turn you down. But I'm already in a relationship." And so at that point, you think, okay, he's a good guy. He's saying he has a girlfriend. It can't work out. But then he comes up with the idea. Let me ask my girlfriend if we can have like if I can have two girlfriends. If she's okay with it, then you're in. So he asks the red hair girl
Oh,
Saki.
oh, we're
So
not
Kim
even
Kim
there
Kim
yet. He goes to redheaded girl and introduces blue-haired girl and Nagisa. Her name is Nagisa, and the red-haired
yeah.
girl's name is Saki. He introduces Saki to Nagisa, not telling her anything, and tries to get her to like Nagisa before he's like, "Hey, I want to." What he's doing is asking to enter into a polyamorous relationship. However, this show treats that incredibly poorly, okay? Because Saki does not want to from the start of this show. And you know what
She
Saki
definitely
should have
doesn't. Yeah,
done
you're
when he
right.
insisted and kept pushing and pushing? She should have walked away because Saki gets the short end of the stick in this entire show. I'm 7 episodes in, all right? And I feel bad for Saki every step of the way. And she needs to walk away. She needs to walk away real
Okay.
bad, okay?
First two episodes, she wasn't into it. First two episodes, she was like, "Hey, this isn't." First episode, she absolutely was not into it. She's like, "Hey, I don't want to do this." But then he offers her he's gonna pay her every single month. He's gonna pay her rent and make food for her and all these benefits.
Oh
And she's
yeah,
like, "All right,
Eric hasn't even gotten to the part where they all three live together, and he
yeah."
just texts Saki's mom like, "Hey, I'm gonna have your daughter live with me," and Saki's mom doesn't know they're in a weird threesome too, like a thruple.
I don't even think
But
Saki's mom would care about that. I'm not. If
no, she
Saki's mom
doesn't.
found out, I think she might. I don't even think she'd be upset, because
No,
we
she
we
seems
learned more about her
pretty
mom this
open.
week.
Yeah, yeah,
Um.
yeah. But Saki is not getting what she wants out of this relationship any step of the way. She's not. Even as of the last 2 episodes. She's just not. And she's walking
Okay.
on eggshells and it's yeah,
Okay.
she's not
I
getting
think
what
you
she
are
wants.
taking the show a little bit too seriously. I don't think the
It's
show is meant
dumb.
to be. The show is not meant to be a healthy, actual
Oh no,
portrayal
it's not
of.
healthy at all. It is a
Yeah,
very
it's not
poor
meant to be that, right?
representation of
Like,
a thruple, if you will. It's not healthy. But
Like, the show even
it just
understands that. The show doesn't take itself seriously, right?
no, but they keep
And
saying that
so,
they make the same jokes over and over again. He screams that he's a two-timer like every 2 seconds in the episode. Okay? Oh, I accidentally said that in front of all of our neighbors. And like, I know the Japanese word for two-timer, like at least they use it a lot in this show. And then you've got these two girls, and then they have to have secret lunches together, which doesn't make any sense. Like the first arc, once they're like together as the three of them in the house, is Nagisa starts coming back to school because she wasn't coming to school for a while. And then they're like, oh, we have to pretend like we don't know her. And there's wacky hijinks and stuff. And they're really stupid, too. But their solution, instead of introducing themselves and becoming friends in front of the people at school, which is the logical thing you should do, they decide to have secret lunches in the storage locker for all the equipment, like in the back of it, and climb through the window. Okay,
so
it's just
you're not wrong
dumb.
that the logical solution would be to introduce blue-haired girl to their friends, only if the main character was a logical person. Like,
He's
we've
not.
already seen that he's not
He's
capable of holding
he
any
is
secrets,
dumb
and
as a
I don't
box of
think
hair.
he definitely, if the three of them were in a group of people, and that group expects that redhead, that Saki is his girlfriend, and they put the, not social pressure, but like, the dynamic is that they're supposed to be in a relationship, he would not be able to ignore Minase in that group and be like, oh no, this is my girlfriend, this is another friend that I just happen to have. He would have to treat them equally, because his whole thing is that he does not want either girl to feel like they're getting less than the other.
Let me
And
roll
so,
my eyes at this horrible plot again.
and
Again.
it's
It's
not meant to be good.
garbage.
It's meant to
It's
be.
garbage.
I feel like, I feel like this, just like Domestic Girlfriend and Rent a Girlfriend, is meant to be a dumpster fire that you can enjoy. Though the
It's not
problem with this
enjoyable.
show,
No part of this
the
show is
problem with this show,
enjoyable.
I think this show actually tries to be too. The show actually tries to be too, I don't know, clean. Like the show, like Rent a Girlfriend, not Rent a Girlfriend, Domestic
Domestic
Girlfriend.
Girlfriend is not clean. Like, well,
Yeah,
it's
Domestic
cleaner
Girlfriend.
than you think it should be from the situations, but it's still not particularly clean. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Domestic Girlfriend, like we just enjoyed watching them just make more and more terrible decisions, and their life just like go up in flames, and it was funny. It was enjoyable. Girlfriend,
Yeah.
Girlfriend tries to be almost too normal, to the point where like it being a dumpster fire isn't as comedic as it should.
Well, they're
And
trying so
so,
hard to make it comedic and in stupid ways. So, like, okay, you got Blonde Girl on the left, and you've, like, the last 2 episodes or so have introduced Blonde Girl on the left. She's a booby streamer on YouTube, actually,
on
or
Me
I'm
Too,
sorry,
on Me Too.
MeTube. She's on MeTube. And like one of them, I think Nagisa like follows her online, and watches her videos. And she like accidentally bumps into them in the secret storage locker, and of course, hijinks. We could have just said we're having lunch privately, but no, we had to mention that I'm dating both girls in that like one instance of meeting, and it was so stupid, and so the plot is bad. But then they're like, oh, aren't you that booby streamer trying to hide your identity? And she's like, oh, I guess I'll keep your secret if you keep mine. And it could have ended there, and it could have been, but no, we had to go balls deep with this terrible plot line. And now she has decided to try to pursue, but not really, the main character guy. And she buys a bunch of camping equipment off of Amazon and follows them home and stalks them. But she doesn't buy like blankets, so she's freezing outside. So she stays up all night working out to keep her body temperature such that she doesn't
But
like
she's
get
streaming it for the
hypothermia.
views.
It was
She's streaming it for the
terrible.
views, though. It
I didn't
so
think I
it's
could
pretty dumb.
dislike this show more. I was like
Okay,
getting used to the rhythm, and then we got the blonde girl, and the
okay.
blonde girl
So
is by far the worst character in the entire show. Like
she
by
is
far.
she definitely has the worst
Ugh.
yeah, she is the worst character. um she gets introduced in or let's see, episode 3 was kind of bad. I didn't enjoy episode 3, and they
Ugh.
kind of fixed it a little bit by episode 4, but it's still not fixed. now it's a little back to normal because she generally likes him now,
Yeah,
and
no,
so
he like
she's
helped her
trying to be.
out. Her dad didn't know she was a booby streamer and tried to delete her YouTube account. And then he's like, "No, I'll be responsible for her." That was a weird thing to say, main character who's dumb as bricks. But okay,
Yeah,
whatever. And so now she actually does have feelings for main character, and I think she's still sleeping on their lawn, but she
no,
has
no, she went
more
back home. She
equipment.
went back home.
Oh yeah,
But
they
she's
took all
trying
of
to
her
get in
stuff
on
and
the
tried
she's
to
trying to
pawn
get
it.
in on the relationship. So she wants to be girl number three, and he's like, no, 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 you're too attractive and you're too hardworking, and you're too ambitious. So like if you were to join in my set, then I might fall too much in love with you, and so I can't allow you to join in because you're pretty much just too perfect. And that's pretty much how he described the situation. You're so
Yeah, I
perfect
hate
that
the
if you
main
joined
character
in,
so
I
much.
couldn't
I
handle it.
hate him.
So I can't be a three timer. That's
You
how
know,
he
you know
describes
what
it.
the only way that's gonna make this series salvageable for me, and I know it's not gonna happen, but it's the only way that it will, Eric, is if we get a
So
School Days ending. That's the only way. I hate
that's
the main
not going to
character so
happen.
much. It's not gonna happen,
Um,
but it's the only way it would make me happy. On the
that's
right,
not
you
going to
have
happen.
white-haired girl. White-haired girl, I think, is Saki's friend, and we don't know anything about how she fits into this harem yet. But
Yeah. So
yeah,
we're
she's
just
just
now
like a
getting to the
class
point
member.
where blonde girl is like solidified herself as number three. She's still not
Yeah,
officially in the group. Like she's just like on the side right now, but she's not officially in yet. And so we gotta wait. Either she might not ever officially get in. It might just be blue haired girl and red haired girl. But the thing is, we have to like resolve blonde haired girl problems because the white haired girl has to come in too.
yep,
So
yep.
we're just waiting for the last person. It's a pretty ridiculous plot. Like
It's
we're not supposed
terrible.
to take it seriously. I don't think this
This
is
show
supposed
is
to be a
terrible.
serious show.
You should not
I think it's
watch
just
this
supposed to be
show.
comedy, just supposed to be funny. It's
You
not
could scoop
great,
out
but
your
I don't think it's
eyeballs with a
bad.
melon baller, and it'd probably be better than watching this show. Okay, it's terrible. Everything about this
It's
show
not.
is terrible.
It's.
It's
I don't
not
think it's terrible, but
Yashahime
it's
because
not
I
great.
didn't say it was. It's not 100% of a Yashahime. It's only about 80% of a Yashahime, but it's pretty bad. It's definitely worse than almost anything else we watched that I ranted about, other than Yashahime. So,
Yeah, I mean, is this the worst show of the season? I don't know. I
well,
don't.
yes.
Maybe I'm not
Oh, yes.
sure.
No,
I'm not
I
sure. Let
hate
me.
I got a lot of hatred toward Tokyo Revengers, and we'll get to that. But I could not even come close to hating Tokyo Revengers as much as I hate Girlfriend. Not even a little, okay?
Uh, I don't think it's bad, but it might be the weakest show of the season.
Ugh, it's terrible. Anyway, speaking of Tokyo
Okay.
Revengers, main character, guess what? Still awful. Still bad at his job every step of the way.
Yeah, he
Doesn't
probably
have
is
any
the worst
direction.
time traveler I've ever seen, and
He is the worst time
even
traveler.
compared to
How
time
do you
travelers
screw
that
it
like
up?
actively
How do you
screw up the
screw it up
timeline.
so bad every single week? The only redeemable thing about this show is in the last two episodes, you've got to watch the delinquents actually have real fights. And I actually find that part pretty entertaining. Like watching Draken just mow through some dudes was very entertaining. And watching Mikey like get hit in the head with a pipe multiple times and then rally and beat the ever living crap out of everybody around him was worth
But
watching.
you gotta keep in mind, you gotta. So here's the thing that always just breaks my suspension of disbelief. They're 15 years old,
I know.
and
I know.
this full grown adult was grabbing Mikey's leg, and another one was grabbing his other leg. Somebody was grabbing his shoulders, and another person was hitting him in the head with a pipe. Mikey
Yeah.
picks up his leg and the
With the
man
guy.
that's holding
Yeah.
his leg and uses the man to kick the other man that's hitting him with the pipe. And I'm like, okay, if Mikey was a professional bodybuilder or Arnold Schwarzenegger or The Rock, like I'd allow it. But he's a
Yeah.
15-year-old, like he's not
Yep.
even that big. If
He's
anything,
not. No,
he's a
Mikey's pretty small. Like Draken is like freakishly large, but like yeah, Mikey's not. He's just supposedly super strong. So at
like
the end of the last part that we watched for book club, we went back to the future, and girlfriend still died in a car
Yeah,
accident,
Hina's still
and they
dead.
found out it was Kisaki Teta's fault. And so he goes back, and he goes back right into the ceremony where Kisaki Teta gets inaugurated as like one of the captains of Toman. And then you
Do
find
you
this
have
other guy,
notes? How are you
Baji.
remembering all this, Jess?
What? I
Do you
know a
have
lot of
notes?
stuff.
How are you remembering all this?
No, I just know stuff. It's off the top of my head. I don't have any notes. So Kisaki Teta becomes like the captain, right? Well, then you meet two guys. Well, you're introduced kind of separately to two guys who helped form Toman. And when they were all little kids, or younger kids, I guess, with Mikey and Draken and all of these people, right? They Mikey really wanted this bike, and they broke into somewhere. These two guys, they broke into is Baji and Kazutora.
Uh,
Baji and
yeah.
Kazutora. And they broke into this place on Kazutora's suggestion. He kind of forced Baji into it to steal a bike for Mikey so that they could steal it and give it to him for his birthday. And then the guy who owned the store comes in and he's like, "What are you doing?" So Kazutora comes up behind him and literally kills him with a pipe. And it turns
With a,
out that dude,
it was a. That wasn't even a pipe.
oh, it
That
was a
was
wrench. It was a
it
wrench.
was a one of the chain cutters. that
Oh,
was
was it?
that was a it was yeah, it was
Yeah,
heavy.
yeah, yeah,
And
it
he
was.
killed him in
It
one
was rough.
shot.
It was rough. But that turns out that was Mikey's older brother that he just murdered. So
Yeah.
Kazutora goes to juvie for 2 years or 3 years or something, and he takes all the blame. So Baji doesn't do it. But then Baji is like has some psychological damage too because he's like witnessed this and he just breaks down crying in front of Mikey and all of that. And Kazutora has translated this into this is all Mikey's fault. So I'm gonna murder Mikey and has been fixated on that for years. So flashback to like normal times, I guess 2005 or whenever the in the past part is set. And
Yeah.
uh Teta is becoming here, but he is supposedly an infiltrator from this other gang, the Headless Angel gang, right? And they're called the Headless Angel gang because they don't have a known leader. And so at first they think Kisaki Teta is their leader and he's infiltrating into Toman and Valhalla, the other gang's called Valhalla. So Mikey tells main character dude, what's his name? Takemichi. Tells Takemichi, if you want me to kick Kisaki Teta out of Toman, Baji like has this big blow up and leaves Toman for Valhalla. He's like, bring Baji back to Toman. So Mikey's like, Takemichi is like, okay, well, I'll do it. And then Mikey's like, I'll kill you if you don't. That seems a bit
Yeah, that was a
extreme,
little weird.
but
That's pretty
that's where we're
extreme.
at.
And there's no reason for him to really believe that Mikey, like, of all the people that would be able to do it, Mikey is the least likely because he doesn't even know these people. He's the furthest out. He's the furthest out of the circle. Like he doesn't even
Yeah,
know the situation. So anybody
yeah,
else in the crew would have had better luck getting Baji to come back. And Mikey's like, hey, if you fail this mission, I'm gonna kill
I'm
you.
gonna kill you.
And it's like,
Yep,
okay, that doesn't really make
yeah,
any sense, but
it
we're
doesn't
gonna
make
roll
any
with it.
sense. So, all right, so he
Also,
goes. Go ahead.
I was like, also the what's his name, the guy that wants to kill Mikey, he 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 after he kills Mikey's brother, he just has this mental breakdown where he's like, oh, all this is Mikey's fault. If Mikey
It's all
hadn't
Mikey's
had
fault.
his moped, I wouldn't have had to steal a bike for him. And if I didn't steal the bike, I wouldn't have killed his older brother. So it's all Mikey's fault. And I'm
Yep,
like, that's a really weird, like very specific mental breakdown. You know what I
yep,
mean?
yep,
Because he's not
yep,
crazy in any other aspect of life. He's just
yep,
crazy in that one specific understanding of the situation.
yep. So
So
okay,
I'm like,
so you get you Mike. So now Takemichi is working with. Well, he goes to he meets Kazutora, and Kazutora's like, "Hey, come with me." Okay, and takes him straight to Valhalla's hideout. And he watches Baji has an initiation ceremony where he has to beat the ever living snot out of like his other best friend and vice captain from Toman. They've got this other dude, and Baji's just going to town on him and stuff. And he's like, he wants to change everything, and he's like, I want to. They're all like, they all want to kill Mikey, like it's a thing. They want to kill Mikey, right? But then the guy who's like his second vice captain that just got the crap beat out of him is like, no, Baji's really loyal and I'm loyal to him. And he's still like loyal after getting the crap kicked out of him. Like, all right, dude.
Yeah,
All
because he
right.
believes Baji isn't truly a traitor. So he thinks that
Right.
Baji
He thinks
has
he's
some type
still
of
loyal.
he's a spy.
Right, exactly. But then, so we go back into the future, and so now they think Kisaki Teta is really the secret head of Valhalla because he came from Valhalla, and they think he's infiltrating and all this. We go back to the future, and they go visit Draken in jail because Draken is in jail in the future. And Draken's like, yeah, at this incident, Mikey killed Kazutora at this like brawl that they're gonna have, you know, in the past, in the future. You get it. And he kills Kazutora, and that just sends everything down the wrong thing. So you can't let Mikey kill Kazutora. All right, but then he's like, well, then answer me this: is Kisaki Teta the head of Valhalla? And Draken's like, no, Mikey is the head of Valhalla. They made Valhalla as a gift to Mikey, like all of the dudes, and it's like, what? And at that point, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like this show, it just doesn't make any sense. But at least main character is trying to get intel now, and that's better than he's been doing the
Yeah.
entire other 18 episodes of this show so far. But
And
whatever.
the thing is like we're almost at square one because the very first mission he had was infiltrate Tokyo Majin and find out information about Kisaki. That's his name? Yeah, find out information about him. That was the first mission he had. And he successfully infiltrated the gang. He became part of the crew and he befriended Mikey, but he completely forgot about this other guy. Like
Yep.
he completely forgot about the other half of his mission.
Yep.
And it's like, what are you doing? You're the worst time traveler I've ever seen. You had
Well,
very
and also
clear,
I feel
specific
like
instructions.
he totally, other than Kisaki Teta, who he beat the crap out of when he got back, he totally forgets about people too. Like the guy with the weird colored hair that was in the future that helped kill his girlfriend and saw him in like the bathroom is the guy from Valhalla. And it's like, shouldn't you be paying attention to this dude who was involved in the whole death of your girlfriend in the future? But it's like, whatever, okay. So
Yeah,
now we're back to the
and
past, and now we've got a street brawl with Toman and Valhalla, and Valhalla has 3 times the dudes that Toman does. So, like, as we mentioned before, Draken mows through a bunch of people. Mikey has this weird crying breakdown that inspires people because, or not Mikey, Takemichi. Takemichi has this weird crying breakdown that inspires people because that's what he does is cry a lot and then get his face punched. That's his superpower is to get punched a lot and to cry.
so it's
Um,
funny because all this time he wasn't officially a member of the gang. He just now got put in the second division squad, and
yep,
so as he's doing his usual walk around aimlessly and confused through a battlefield, as he does in every single fight, right?
yep,
His commander is like, "Bruh, what are you doing? We came here to
yeah. You
fight.
gotta fight.
Like,
You
if
gotta
you're not
fight.
gonna fight, go home." like,
Yep,
like
yep.
he's
He's
like,
like, you gotta
"Bruh."
fight, man.
And he's like,
Uh,
"You're on my team now, so I'm responsible for you. So if you're not gonna fight, you need to leave." Like,
yep,
and so finally he gets called out for the fact that he just wanders through all these battles, and it's like,
yep.
come on, man,
Yeah,
it's so bad.
it's really frustrating. But in this battle, I mean, you really legitimately got to see Draken just plow through some dudes. It
Yeah,
was
he took
great.
on like 10 guys at once.
And just demolished them, absolutely demolished them, and it was kind of crazy. And then Mikey is getting hit with a pipe in the head and still rallies and destroys some dudes. But we don't know how it's going to end yet. We're not at the point where the fight has really ended, and all the other gang bosses are like hanging around watching to see what happens. They're not helping in either side, but they're just like
Yeah,
hanging
they
around
just want to
watching.
know the change of power.
Yeah.
But
And they
so I
thought
mean,
Mikey was going to lose, but then he rallied. He rallied hard, man. And I didn't get that, too. So you've got the leader of your organization up there being held down by 4 dudes and getting his head bashed in. And both Draken and Takemichi are just standing there slack jawed, not fighting
yeah,
anybody,
like
watching it happen. Run up the cars, dude. Run up the hill to help
it's
him. He's right there. What are you doing? Like,
like that's the thing about these battles is that they're not happening in like a massive open desert, you know, like where situations can be happening far away from each other. No, this is like construction site that like everybody can see everybody from wherever they're standing. And so like like your key players are like in critical battles and people are having like these side conversations and just like staring aimlessly, and it's like, what are you doing? Your king is getting beat up on top of a car. Somebody go save the king. Like Mikey,
yeah,
like if Mikey falls, it's all over. So
yeah. I don't
but
know.
you're
I
right, at the
still
very least.
I still can't stand Takemichi. I still think he's really, really, really incompetent. And they could have sent if they could have sent anybody else back in time, it probably
Anybody,
would have been better. Anybody.
anybody. But the thing is, at the very least, Mikey is getting a little bit more information. But it's like they always do this thing where he gets one piece of information and he's like, "Cool, thanks." Doesn't ask any questions and just goes off of that one piece of information. And it's like you literally have all the time in the world to get this information, and you're like, "All right, no, no, only one piece at a time." So
Yep.
he goes to the prison that Draken is being held at, and Dragon says these like really important things, but he's not asking for details. And the weird thing is that Dragon is like even calling him out on it, saying, "Hey, what are you talking about? You were at the site. You saw what happened. Like you saw what happened. You were there."
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
Dragon must think not Mikey, Takamichi is just insane at this point because
Yeah.
he's been in
Because
jail
he's
for
like,
all this
what are
time,
you
and
talking
this guy
about?
is coming up
You
saying,
were there.
"Hey, what are you telling me? Mikey killed that guy?" And Drake is like, "You were there. You saw it happen."
Yeah. Yeah, he thinks it's crazy. Oh, something I didn't notice until this episode, they call Draken Draken in every episode because that's like his nickname, right?
Yeah,
And that's fine. But I didn't realize his name was like it's not Ryuji, but it's like Ryu something Ken.
Ken.
And that's why
Oh
his
yeah.
name is Draken because it's dragon. Ryu means dragon, and his first name is Ken,
Oh.
so it's Draken.
Oh. I didn't.
You get it?
Oh. That makes sense.
It does, and
But
I
another
didn't
thing.
realize that till they said his like legal eagle name in the latest episode, like because they were referencing him by it, and I was like, oh, that's where that comes from. Okay, that makes sense.
Another thing that I just learned recently. Well, I marathon all the Tokyo. I marathon the current season this morning, and so I noticed that Crunchyroll. If you're watching this show on Crunchyroll, you're getting a censored version of the show because
Huh?
for American audiences, they're removing a lot of imagery because the Tokyo Majin game, their symbol is the Majin symbol or Magi
Oh,
symbol in Japan, which looks
it's the
like a
it looks like
swastika.
a
It's
backwards
actually based on
swastika.
on
Yeah,
the Buddhism symbol that was also, or swastikas were also inspired by it, but it's completely separate. And if you're like in Japan and you see all these temples, Buddhist temples, you understand
yeah.
that this is not a racist symbol.
It's not a reference to the
Yeah,
swastika.
to Hitler.
The original. Yeah,
But American
yeah,
audiences doesn't have that reference point, and so
yeah.
Crunchyroll went out of their way in order to remove that image because their gang logo,
It has it on the
the
sleeve. Yeah,
on the sleeve.
yeah,
Also, like all the flags that they always carry, Crunchyroll just like painted the whole flag black. Even the opening has tons and tons of, or not the opening, the ending credits have tons and tons of them that Crunchyroll just had to paint over. But they did a
yeah,
really good job. And, like I didn't even notice that this image was missing in all these episodes until now.
yeah,
But they
yeah.
they, they came out and explained why they had to do that, and it makes sense because it is
No,
a
it does.
distraction
It
if you
does.
don't have that reference point.
Right. And it is. It is. I'm not looking forward to the end of this show because it's just going to make me hate Takemichi more. But it's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. The Duke of Death and his maid. I thought this started out super duper cute, and I'm actually fairly invested in it. This is a new series this season. The guy on the left is a wealthy aristocrat's son. He's the heir, so he's the oldest son. But he was cursed by a witch at like 5 or 6 years old, where everything he touches dies. And there's specific rules about it. You can touch things that are touching him, like his sleeve or things like that, if you're human. But if like he can kill like plants from decently far, like by sort of touching. And the chick on the right is his maid. He has two servants. One is an old man who's really sassy, and I like him. And this is his other servant, and they're in love. I mean, they're just straight up in love. They tell you
Yeah.
this in like the first episode. And she is tries to mess with him by getting really close to him. She knows what will happen if she touches him,
Yeah,
but
she gets
she
crazy close,
tries.
and she always pulls up her dress just to make him
Yeah, she tries
flustered
to get a
every
rise out of
opportunity she
him.
gets. You know.
So far, what we know about this is they're trying to like break the curse, and so that they can live a life together. And he's isolated in a separate summer home from his family, and his mother is a giant tool bag. We don't know a lot about her other than she's a jerk to him, and he lives away from the family. He has a brother and a sister. His brother might be taking over the title from him, like he might lose the title because he's cursed and stuff. They meet two witches at one point that take them to a witches like retreat or meeting, and they talk to some other witches, and it turns out the witch that cursed him is probably dead, but she was like a genius, so it's unlikely for them to break the spell, and they're trying like different things to break the spell. He's got a little sister who is younger than him and is in love with the old man butler, which makes for some real awkwardness there because she's like
Yeah, she's head over heels in love
13.
with the butler, and and normally situations like this they try to play it off where like you don't really know if the butler is like could possibly fall in love with her or if he's just like treating her nicely because he's the
Yeah,
butler.
well, he
But
said if I
she
had
straight
a
up says,
grandchild.
yeah, he straight up says she straight up says, "Hey, we're kind of like cooking like a married couple." And he's like, "Nah, you're way too young. Like you're like my grandchild."
Yeah, yeah,
He turns her down so hard, and she doesn't even. She's so head over heels in love that she doesn't even understand that she got turned down 100% definitely. Like
yep, yep,
she
yep.
had no
Yeah, I mean, and
awareness.
it's a lot of the show is wacky shenanigans of him not trying not to get touched by things like they have a cat that comes in or things like that. But the other half of it is the more interesting part, and that's trying to figure out what this curse is and what's going on with the witches. And there's something that has to do with her mother. Her mother was a servant for the family too, but she might be involved in some of the witch stuff, and you kind of are sussing that out through the show. But it's just a really, I don't know, it's a cute dynamic. I think it's a one joke show by and large, but I'm a little bit invested in it, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, like this show starts off nice. I like the concept of this show. It's just that it spins its wheels for a little bit.
Yeah,
Like once you get I kept thinking that the plot twist of this show was going to be that for whatever reason maybe he loves her the amount of love he has for her, or maybe their particular relationship, or maybe there's something specific about her that will cause the curse to not affect her. I was waiting for like the shoe to drop and be like, oh, he could touch her and she's the only person he could touch. I was expecting that to happen, and so episode just kept happening, and it doesn't seem to be going in that direction.
no,
And so for like 5 or 6 episodes, it was just like, oh, we're going to have this experience and we can't touch, and now we're going to have this experience and we can't touch,
yep.
and there wasn't really any plot going on. Now we kind of
Until you
get
get to the
the
witches. The
introduced to the other
witches,
witches.
yeah, the witches made the plot move forward, which was great.
Yeah, and so now the second half of the season does kind of feel like we do have some type of motivation for them to like do stuff. It's just that the first half is really just like problem
Yeah.
of the day. We're gonna hang out. We can't touch.
Well,
The
and
end.
also this series is a lot like High Score Girl and some of the other stuff that's on Netflix, and it has that weird CG model style,
Yeah,
which is not my
some of the
favorite.
eyes are really weird sometimes,
Yeah.
especially
It's
for the
not
little
my favorite
sister. Her
style.
eyes get really big and super round, and it looks a little weird. But I mean, it's an aesthetic. Um, it's a look. I don't think I wouldn't go as far as say the animation is bad
No,
because I
it's
think
just weird.
it tends to look this way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's just strange. But I don't know.
her,
This might be my favorite show of the season, even though it is a slow burn. And I say that of the new season because I
yeah,
don't know. I still kind of like To Your Eternity, and Slime is still okay, but Slime is also a slow burn. Everything is a slow burn right now, and it's tedious. I don't know.
I
Do you
have
have any?
decided on what my favorite of the season is going to be. It's not going to be this one, but I will adjust my favorite of the season. Um,
Okay.
but the one thing about this, so the girl, her design, her design reminds me a lot of that girl, the new character from Resident Evil that's super tall. She feels like a normal sized version of that girl. Like it feels like they're almost exact same model, just not ginormous.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Eh,
it's a nice show.
it's okay. I like it. I like it. All right. Case study of Vanitas. I watched the first
So
episode of this show and I just did not care about it. And then I kept watching it because I had to get up to like the thing, and I'm actually pretty invested in it now. I wasn't invested in it at first, and then it got a lot gayer, and now I'm much more invested in it.
wait a minute. Hold on. I think I have the exact opposite take on this because the first. So hold on. First episode, I was really interested, saying, "Oh, this has really cool animation style,"
It does.
and I don't think I'm not really becoming that less interested, but I'm not super excited to watch every single episode. Like I'm gonna watch it, but I've actually not caught up. I've only watched 4 episodes of this, but I feel like the show is actually getting less gay because in episode 1 in the opening you get to see them having a super good time together. The two guys are like throwing each other around the waterfall, or not the waterfall, the
How
fountain.
is it getting? No, 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 no,
Okay,
no. How is
they're
it
going
getting
this
less
show goes
gay?
is going out of its way in order to make the characters have as
Nah.
many
No, 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 no.
relationships. No, what do you
Oh, no,
mean?
no, no.
This is like the
White.
opposite
Okay,
of
okay,
Skate the
okay.
Infinity.
White-haired guy is like trying to deal with the fact that he has feelings for Vanitas, but he doesn't know the words to say it. That's like what the last 2 episodes were all about. When like
Oh, okay.
when his fiance was getting jealous because she thought he was into the other chick, but he's not into the other chick. He's into the Vanitas. He's into Vanitas.
Okay, so I haven't gotten there yet, so that's fine. I only watched the first 4 episodes. There's three I didn't watch.
Oh man, you
And
got a ways to go. You got a ways to go. Okay.
so
The
at least for
crux
the
of this
first
show,
four,
we need to talk about the show. We need to give them a heads up about the show.
you can say whatever. You don't have to hold back for me.
All
I'll
right.
watch the other episodes probably tomorrow. But at least for the first 4 episodes, they went out of their way in order to introduce multiple love interests for both characters. Like episode
Yeah.
1,
Well,
the silver haired
Vanitas.
guy was like, oh, this is her name Amelia? Amanda, or I forgot. I think it's
Oh, the
Amelia.
one in the
This
first
Amelia
episode or
woman is
whatever.
super nice, and like they kick it off really nice, and he saves
Yeah.
her, and they seem to be in love. And then episode 3, they introduce his childhood friend, and she calls herself his fiance,
Well, yeah.
and they're sucking each other's blood, like really sexually. And even for Vanitas confesses to Jean, and he allows Jean to suck his blood really
Yeah. No,
sexually,
man.
and it's like,
Man, no, no, no. Okay, so they're both bisexual. That's the thing. Okay,
okay,
that's the thing. All right. So you've got the guy on the left is the blue-haired guy is a human, but he belongs to the blue vampire tribe. So like a long time ago, the blue vampire tribe was fighting the red vampire tribe, and the blue one had this guy named Vanitas in it, and he made a grimoire book, a magical book. And the magical book basically gave him the power to see the quote true names of the red vampire people so that he could corrupt and kill them because he hated them all, right? But he bequeathed somehow, and we don't have an explanation how, to this human guy who took his name, Vanitas, the guy that made the book. But instead of using the book to kill the red vampires, he's actually using it to save them from this thing called like this curse that somehow affects them, that makes them kind of crazy, where their real name gets corrupted by this thing. It's not carnival, but it's something like that.
it's like, yeah, it's a circus or carnival.
Yeah,
They use one of
it's
those
some
words.
entity that looks like a weird Venetian carnival that's like a big blob of black sometimes that tries to steal their true name, and then they turn into these like unbridled monsters. And before they had no solution for this other than to kill them. They just killed people. They got this curse and turned into monsters. But now he's shown up as a human in the vampire world or whatever, and he knows a bunch of their secrets with this book that can heal them. And he's using this book, which was meant to kill them, to heal them. And that's the crux of the show. And the white-haired guy on the right is from like some old vampire family. When he sucks somebody's blood, he can see their memories. That's like his thing. But he's also kind of aloof and weird. But yeah, no, they have a whole backstory episode where the white-haired guy like grows up with his fiance, the Marquis de Sade's granddaughter or something, and her brother. And they have like a vaguely weird coming of age sexual thing with both of them. That's why I'm saying he's a bisexual. He's clearly a bisexual, all right? Because he
Okay,
definitely had
I'll
the
have to
hots
watch
for the
more of it.
brother. Like, he and the brother were definitely very tight. But then the brother got beheaded because he had the curse thing, which is why he's really excited that Vanitas has the cure for the curse so people don't have to die anymore. Because his childhood BFF slash lover slash whatever had the curse and got beheaded. Got beheaded by his teacher, too, by the way, who's their grandfather, the grandfather of the two people. Well, then you've got Vanitas, and they meet like this other like royal little kid, and he's protected by I'm gonna call her Joan of Arc because she Jean, and
Yeah, I've just
that's
been
usually
calling
how
her
they
Jean.
translate that. She's like vampire Joan of Arc, and she went into she like in the past went into battle when the vampires were in this big battle and just destroyed people. Like, she is like super overpowered, but turns out she has a weird addiction to blood because these vampires maybe don't always need blood. It's not really super explained yet. So at one point, she kind of like gives into her bloodlust and sucks the blood of the human dude, Vanitas, right? And she, by doing that, she marks him and then he has part of her power. But then he's like, oh, well, I'm kind of turned on by that. So now he's got a thing for her. But he's also super flirty with a bunch of dudes, too. So I think he's a bisexual, but he's like all about John right now. But when he's all about John, his white-haired guy's fiance is like they're like dancing kind of near each other, like he's dancing with John and then or whatever, and the Marquis de Sade chick, who's white-haired dude's fiance, is like, oh, I'm jealous of John because she, I think that my boyfriend is interested in John, but he's not interested in her. He's interested in Vanitas, okay? He doesn't even realize it because he's that kind of weird, aloof, I don't understand stuff kind of character, and he has to like find his feelings for himself. That's what I'm telling you, man. It's getting more gay. It's definitely getting more gay as time goes on. And it makes it more
See,
interesting because in
I
the
was
first
from what
episode,
I've
I just
seen, it
didn't
was looking
know
like they were
enough to
going
care.
out of their way to make them have as many straight relationships as
Oh,
possible. Like
you
it
mean
really
like
did
that
feel like
one
they were setting
episode
up
of
as many as
Skate the
possible.
Infinity? That one episode of Skate the Infinity where they all went to go
Yeah, yeah,
pick
yeah.
up chicks. Like the whole show's not super gay. Like, don't give me that. Don't give me that even a little bit. Like, nobody's fooled by this. But no, all of these characters are like interconnected. They're definitely bisexual. Like, both of them are definitely bisexual. But the whole crux is like now they've been taken in by some also incredibly attractive vampire redheaded dude who also is very famous, and he's gonna protect them from stuff now because all the vampires think that the blue vampire clan gave them the curse, and they think that Vanitas is trying to kill them all with the book, but he's really trying to save them. And so like aristocrat redheaded vampire guy has now taken them under his wing, and we're gonna meet him in like the next episode, like in depth or whatever. So that's where we're at here.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
have to
they're
catch up
very
on this one.
bisexual.
I had to catch up on this. I wasn't getting that from the 4 episodes I watched.
You
I
gotta watch
was
more, man.
the one thing that's interesting. This show does have really good animation. It also it even goes beyond just the special effects, and some of the scenes are really good. I remember I watched episode one with a bunch of AV editors, and we were kind of just like AV editors. I feel like watch anime slightly different, where we always just see, oh, I can use that scene, or that's a cool transition. And so we were just kind of kept commenting on, wait a minute, all the little like blue special effects and lighting and all the scenes are really like really detailed, and the animators didn't have to put this much detail in all the little blue lights that happen whenever they transform and stuff. And so it has
Yep.
really good animation, and it's not cheap. It always looks pretty clean. And so I think just for that, I think the show is worth checking out.
Yeah,
The
it's.
premise is
I think
also
it's
pretty
interesting.
cool.
I think it's pretty
It has a
interesting.
lot of Sherlock Holmes and Watson type vibes because
Yeah,
they're in Paris, and
yeah,
then you kind of have like the the silver haired guy does kind of have like a lot of Watson qualities, and then you have the Vanitas that has like this kind of like eccentric type personality too. And
yep,
so if
yeah.
you like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, I think you also would like this pair as well.
I think so too. I think so too. Ah, the great Jahy. I wanted to like this show more than I did. Unfortunately, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I think it's just kind of fluffy. I like the characters
Yeah,
some, but it's this is the great Jahy, and she was the second in command of Hell, and then a magical girl shows up and totally destroys their entire demon realm, and just
yeah,
there's
and
this giant red
it's so
crystal, and
anticlimactic too. Like, so
it
it starts off with them being like, "Hey, the enemy is approaching," Jahi is like, "Oh, let me put on like my evil look, and I'm gonna make my evil speech, and like really be like bombastic about like presenting myself as I'm like the second in command of this organization."
yep,
And as
it
she's
didn't work
talking,
well.
the magical girl just runs past her,
Boop,
rips
boop.
rips off the curtain on the wall, reveals the giant jewel in the back, and just destroys the jewel before Jahi could even finish talking. And apparently, the
Yep,
jewel has all the power of the entire demon world, and just destroys the entire demon realm,
yep,
in one attack. And
yep.
Jahi's like, "Wait a minute, but like I wasn't done talking."
Yep. And then
It
Jahi
was
is like
funny.
sent to Earth, but she is a little child because the power of the stone is what was keeping her as an adult. She has a little tiny piece of it, so she can turn into an adult so many hours a day. And the whole crux of the show is she's trying to find other pieces of the gem in order to like restore the demon realm, but she's kind of super incompetent at a lot of things. And she got taken in by two sisters. One of them's really nice and runs a izakaya, and she works for the izakaya as an adult when she's like transformed at night. And then the other one is her landlord that also she doesn't pay rent to regularly, and they fight a lot. And yeah, feel like I only like this show because it has a lot of scenes in an izakaya, and I like that. So it makes me want to go to
So
Shoya.
we've only seen 3 episodes of this so far, um, and so we haven't seen a lot. And so I'm hesitant to say this is my favorite show, and
Oh,
I don't
this
it
is
probably
definitely
isn't.
not my favorite.
So I don't so it probably it's hard for me to pick a favorite show. I think I have the most
Well, I,
expectations for this one.
I'm gonna go back on what I said earlier. I've got a different favorite show, but I'll talk about it when we get to it. I think I've decided what my favorite show of the season is, and I'll talk about it when we get to it. But go ahead.
So I think this one has I have the most expectations for this one because it has a pretty big fan base, and the fan base really hypes this show up, and they're really big on the manga. And so this show feels like it has a lot of Devil is a Part Timer vibes combined with Nagatoro
Yeah.
vibes. It feels like the two shows
Now, see,
kind of like merge
I don't
together.
think it has a lot of Nagatoro vibes because yeah, she's kind of short and feisty, but it's just because of the way she looks. Like the character design is similar to Nagatoro,
Yeah,
but I don't think the
the
show
character
feels
design is
like
similar.
Nagatoro at all.
It it she wants I guess the role she had in the Demon Realm, where she was overly abusive and mean to her subordinates, and then it kind of gets turned on around on her, and it feels like the entire world is bullying her. So it's
Yeah.
not quite Nagatoro, but it has like the same. It has a similar like bullying, meanness type attitude to it. But
I don't know. I mean, maybe,
I think it's
but
probably closer to what is it? The Miles Sama show. Devil's a part timer,
oh
and
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. It definitely feels like Devil is a part timer. Definitely.
I have expectations for the show. I don't know if it's going to live up to it because the show does have some issues. The animation for the show is pretty bare bones. It's not bad, I don't feel, but you can
Yeah.
tell the animators aren't really trying to like go all out. They're really just trying to get the scenes to just like work. And so some of the shots like are done with the least amount of frames possible, and so you're probably not going to be seeing too many AMVs with this show. But um, I do think that it is pretty funny. I really appreciate that the voice actor for Jahy is Satania from Gabriel Dropout. I don't know if you watch that show, but it's
No,
this really there's this really funny character that always gets bullied called Satania, and they pretty much just like kind of like typecast as her voice actor for it. So if you like Gabriel Dropout and you like Satania, this is a really nice, I don't know, callback kind of to it. But
mhm,
I don't know. I don't know if the show's going to completely live up to my expectations, but it seems
that's
interesting.
fair. That's fair. Okay, this is my favorite show of the season. I take back what I said earlier. Kageki Shoujo is so unexpectedly good that is my favorite show
Uh,
of the season.
I forgot about this actually. Am I going to swap again? Maybe. I mean, this show is pretty good. Um,
It is super. I
I
think it's super good.
I was not expecting to like this show as much as I did, and so I guess probably in terms of new shows that just doesn't have as many problems. Like every show that we talked about so far has an issue. Um, this show doesn't really have a big issue. I do feel like some of the time spent on things is a little bit too long, and sometimes like we're not moving at a fast pace, but that's a small issue. Um,
Yeah.
this show has a lot of emotional baggage at certain parts. Um, and so if you were triggered by certain parts of Wonder Egg, you might have the same type of reactions to this, if not worse.
Well, it
Um,
depends. I mean, this takes things seriously, at least. You know what I mean? Although there's
yeah,
one scene that I was just like, I feel like they should condemn that a little bit more. But okay. So to give you an overview, just a brief overview. So there is a very famous Takarazuka troupe, and I forgot what they're called in the show, but Takarazuka is a specific type of Japanese play that where women play all the characters. It's all women, and it's beautiful women playing men and women on the stage, and they have a basically like a special teenager and up camp that you have to like 3,000 people audition for, and they take 200 of them. I mean, it's really really in demand, and all of these girls are part of this like school, Takarazuka school, and they're trying to be like the top of each. There's 4 seasons worth of performers, and they have top performers every season, and there's the top male character performer and the top female character performer and the top singer performer and different kind of roles and stuff like that. So they're all kind of competing for it, and everybody's got a weird tragic backstory. That's what you need to know. Like the main 2 characters are the ones in the forefront of this image. The blue-haired girl has this backstory where her mother was an actress and she doesn't know who her father is, and then her mother started dating some guy that lived with them that like tried to sexually molest her as a child, and then she just became super closed off and all of this, and she was in an idol group, but she was only in an idol group to like for other reasons, and then she got kicked out of her idol group because she really hates men because she was attacked as a child, and this guy, like, she called this guy disgusting at like a fan event, and then because of that she was forced to retire from her idol group, and so she's just
yeah,
like kind of cold and ice queen type. And then the chick with the pigtails, it she grew up near a kabuki school and then was really involved in that. But kabuki is all men, but she had the opportunity to perform as a kid and really loved it. But then there's this whole backstory with her boyfriend, where her boyfriend was going to be like the next kabuki star, and then his mom, she was upstaging him, not even on purpose, like as a little kid, and then his mom was like, she can't come back here, and all of this, and everybody's got a backstory. And there's one girl who's
yeah,
like bulimic, and one of the teachers told her, "You're like literally the translation was like, you're a fatty. You need to lose
yeah.
weight." And it was like,
No
"Oh
fatties
my
allowed here.
god, yeah!"
And so
It was
this
crazy.
so the teacher that it was a teacher by the way that said, "Hey, no fatties
Yeah,
allowed,"
no
and
fatties
I'm
allowed. I was
like,
like, "What?"
she needs to lose her job because they went
Yup.
like this didn't happen in like a 10-minute segment. This was like 3 episodes of this girl being like, "Okay, I guess I'm not going to eat, and if I do eat, I'm throwing it all up like immediately after." And so there was like 3 episodes of everyone noticing, wait a minute, you're not looking too great today. can you speak up? You sound a little tired. She says, oh yeah, I'm really tired. And the
And
teachers
then
definitely was noticing. And even the teacher
yeah.
that called her the fatty was like, yeah, this girl is definitely like eating and purging, and she didn't do anything
But yeah,
about
and then
it.
she's like, but the other teacher who called her a fatty had no remorse. She was just like, "Yep, if she can't make it, then she needs to find out now." Like, holy crap! You're the reason
Yeah,
she has a complex.
and the thing is
Oh my
like,
god.
if you're like if I am not mad at the teacher for wanting to try to like m- let the girls understand you got to have thick skin. That was her reasoning. I'm
Yeah,
mad at the way she went about it. You don't teach someone to have thicker skin by breaking them down, right?
yeah,
You teach them, hey, people might say this to you, but you have to be strong enough to like get over it. You have to do this routine regardless of whatever people say to you. You have to teach. That's what the teacher is supposed to tell them. But she straight up just said, nah, there's gonna be girls out there that's gonna like rip you to shreds, and if you're a fatty, you can't be here because we can't have you representing the brand being a fatty. And
yeah,
and I'm like, that's not how you do it. And then when she even realizes that, like, man, maybe I went around about this the wrong way, and this girl is definitely like not eating right, she sends some other guy to fix the problem. This other teacher, MVP teacher over here, like
yep,
goes to her doorstep and just like has this heart to heart moment with her, and then tells her, "Hey, like don't forget, like you beat out 2,000 other girls to be here. Like
yep,
even if you're the bottom of the class, like you're top 40. That's something to be proud of." And
yep.
so it's and it was that simple. And it's like, dang, that teacher deserves to lose her job because that was ridiculous.
Yep, it absolutely was. But yeah, it was like 2 episodes back to back where you had child molestation and then bulimia, and it's like, this show looked fluffy and it got real heavy real fast. Like, oh my god. But the show is
Yeah,
really good, and it has not only is it really good, it has a lot of potential too. Like, and in the opening, so like the blue-haired chick in this scene is already been in the school for a little while because she has short hair in the beginning, but in the opening she has kind of long hair, so you know it's going to progress over a time period during it.
yeah. So you
Um,
actually made me really. So I was really scared watching episode 3, because you sent me a message on Facebook a few weeks ago saying that this show has a really bad rape scene in it. And so when
no, 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 no,
episode
no.
3 started,
I
that's
didn't
you
say
you
that.
you, you
I
used
didn't
that
say that.
word. I think you.
I said
At least that's how I interpreted it. And
no,
so when
I was
I
like,
interpreted it as that,
it has
and
really heavy, but it's like it's a it's a sexual assault. I believe I said
yeah,
sexual assault because it was
man,
sexual
you
assault.
probably did, and I interpreted it as that. And so when I was watching it, and it was there was a really bad scene of of the mother's boyfriend kissing the blue haired girl
Yeah, I mean, like,
as a very
and
much
she
child.
describes it. Yeah,
I
I totally.
thought it was about to get so bad. I
Yeah, no,
sit
I
I
did
spent the,
too when I watched that scene. I watched that scene and I was like, "Oh my god, is he really going to?" Because like she goes up to the room and she can't lock her door and he's there with her alone for like a week and I'm like, "Oh my god, are they really going to do that?" But even when she
yeah,
describes him kissing her, she's like, "He forced his tongue into my mouth." And I mean, she's a
yeah.
child. This isn't like her in this scene. This is her as like 7 years
Like,
old. I mean, like she's
yeah.
a child.
And this is a very grown man. And so
Oh, it was
I
super
feel like
gross and uncomfortable.
the show pivoted away from there a little bit in order to not like I guess really like beat it. I don't know. They really to like drive it in. But I mean,
Yeah.
it still took up the whole episode, and so it still was a pretty like heavy episode to watch. And then it immediately followed up with a stalker episode.
Yep.
And so and so I actually got into a debate with my friends because we marathoned all 7 episodes last night. And so I was watching it in a group call, and the stalker episode presented. So we knew from the start that she had a stalker, or not a stalker. We knew from the
Yeah.
start that she had a fan that got too close, and she called him gross, and that's how she lost her. The blue haired girl lost her position in the idol group. And so when they finally brought that character into the show, um, we get to see his backstory about how he was a super shut-in, and that he heard her music, and that her music was the thing that actually got him to go outside, and like for the first
Yeah.
time in a long time.
And it
And
turns out he
so
wasn't such a bad guy. He's just super awkward. And he
yeah,
he
he
kind of
was super
saves the day in a couple episodes. Yeah.
he was super awkward, and they had a handshaking event. And so
And
handshaking events probably sound
she's afraid, and she's sort of afraid of men since her incident
yeah.
with the other dude.
So a random fan grabbing a celebrity's or idol hand and shaking their hand out of the blue sounds crazy from an American's perspective, because we don't have celebrity handshaking events, but that is a
Yeah.
thing in Japan. Like idols
Well,
have handshaking events.
it's a thing in a lot of Asian countries too, because you have what they call like touch time with like Korean boy bands, where they like go down and high five you, and you actually get to touch their hands, and that's like a thing that people pay extra for.
Yeah,
It's a thing.
the way this guy
So
really kind of like really went, like he's so awkward that the first thing he said was "I love you," and he was trying to get out saying, "Hey, like I love you, and like you helped me through this hard part of my life," and he was trying to tell
yeah,
her that how much he appreciated her, but he's just so awkward he couldn't get it out right. And so I was kind of like, he's not a bad guy. Like he definitely messed up, and that's definitely not how you should approach the situation, but he's
yeah.
not a terrible guy. And I was trying to like defend him a little bit, and in the group call, Holt kind of turned on him. He's like, "Eric, you're defending this guy? Like what are you doing?" And so
No,
I
well they
spent like a good 20 minutes trying to be like, but I know he's not a good. I mean, I know he's not like, this is not how you do it, but he's not a terrible person. And so
well
and
yeah,
so I kind of had this
but
big debate last night about
he
whether or not he was
definitely
that bad.
still followed her around, including to this school, to tell her he's sorry, which is that's some borderline behavior right there. You know what I mean? Like that's not
Yeah,
healthy. That's not
it's
healthy at
not.
all. That's like she doesn't owe him anything. She doesn't owe he doesn't get to get her to hear his apology, you know? Like that's
Yeah,
he doesn't
he
get that
felt
right. So,
he felt really bad that she got kicked out of the group because of their interaction, and so his goal was to go to the school and just apologize. But he's like this. He has the look of the cliche anime fan stalker, overweight, have lots of pins on his backpack of his favorite idol. Like he just has all the stereotypes of classic stalker type person. And so
yeah.
him just being there was just too much for her, so she ran away. And it was a situation where the blonde haired girl, which is actually best girl on the show, I'm surprised at how much I like her. Um,
I like her
but
too.
she ended up like talking to him and finding out like he's not actually that bad of a guy. And he had this whole moment where they were doing like the little like salute signs in that the
Yeah.
concert goers do, and they were hanging out. And blue haired girl saw her and was like, "Wait a minute, how are you having how are you having fun with my stalker? Like that's that's
Yeah, they
not
had a big
okay." And that was a
fight.
whole
Yeah, they
issue.
had a big fight, and then blue-haired girl goes away, and she winds up getting accosted by these other two guys. But then stalker guy comes because he knows where she would likely be, so he helps them find her, and then attacks the other two guys and kind of saves the day a little. But then he does the right thing, and he's like, "I understand. I'll probably never see you again, and that's okay, you know." And he walks away, and that's yeah, that's the right thing. But
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this show. I like this show. I think this is my favorite new show of the season. So I didn't expect it to
yeah. I
be,
think
but it
I'll
is. Absolutely is.
I think I'll have to agree with that. It's a good show. I think everybody should check it out. It has if you watch Welcome to the Ballroom, it has a very similar type animation that isn't super like eye catching. It's not like super appealing, um, but I think it works very well for this type of show.
Yeah.
And so um, I think the blonde haired girl is actually the biggest reason to check it out. She's a really good she's like your idiot character that like is so cheerful and so like good natured that like people just can't help but not to like her. But she's not stupid. Like
No,
she's not
she's not.
actually stupid. And she's super hardworking. There was she's super hardworking and she's super talented. um her biggest character attribute is that she's also super tall. She's
Yep.
compared to the other girls in the school, she is gargantuan, and she's even taller
Oh,
than all the male teachers at her school, which
they've
is
only touched
funny.
on it like they've only touched on it once or twice, but she also has incredibly good balance.
Yeah.
Like
One of
they
the
can't knock her
SJF
over.
like members come into the school in order to teach them how to like walk like and have good balance and posture, and he tries to like knock her over and she doesn't budge. She's like, nah, I'm unmovable. You can't, I don't care what branch of the military you're in, you can't move me. And he's like, hey,
Yep.
you want to join the SJF? Just nah, I'm a dancer. That's I'm here for the theater. And so she's super talented. um and so I like her.
I like her too.
I like that. I also like her. They have her. They do a lot of. They do a good job with her hair too. Because normally they give characters like this really like, oh, it's super like always the exact same perfect style, no matter if they're underwater or if they're like swimming or doing this crazy dance, whatever. It always this perfect style. But whenever she wakes up in the morning, it's just super puffy, like a gargantuan amount of hair that she has to like tie back down. And it's super fun.
Yep.
So I like her design.
It is. It is. The whole show is really cute. Would recommend. Would recommend.
Yeah,
Oh, that's it. Oh, that's it.
that's it.
We got the last one was the good one. Okay, cool. Well, we've been
Yeah,
here for a while, so
I
that's
intentionally
pretty
moved that
good.
one.
Yeah.
But
Well, we're gonna be back at the end of the season. It may not be the complete end of the season for things like Magica and Jahy because they started
yeah,
later. But yeah,
I think
go ahead.
Jahy in particular is going to have this weird number where it might be spanning completely onto the next season as well. It might not finish until the next season completely is done. Um,
Yeah.
but we should be finishing most of them. Are
Yep.
there any shows out of all the shows we watch? Are there any shows that you feel like you just don't want to watch? Like if like normally when we do the book club, we have the option of dropping a show after like 3 episodes. I feel like I know I know what you're gonna say.
I was gonna say, what am I gonna say, Eric? Which show am I gonna
What are you
say?
gonna say?
What show am I gonna want to drop? I
Is
wonder which
girlfriend
one.
worth dropping? Do you feel girlfriend's worth dropping?
I hate it. I hate every second I have to spend watching it. I've hated every episode. There's nothing redeemable about it. Nothing. I
I
hate
don't
it.
think that it's that bad. I don't think it's
I
that
hate
bad.
it.
But I will let you off the hook. You don't have to watch any more girlfriend. We can take it off of book club. It's officially dropped.
I kind of want to pick up that show that's on Adult Swim that just started, the pirate one.
Oh yeah, we might can check that out too because it literally just episode 1 just started. We might can add
Yeah,
that Pirate
if you
Princess,
want
I
to pick
think.
that up, I am 100% down because it looks really cool.
All right, what's the verdict on Tokyo Revengers?
I've watched so much of that show. I need to see the end of the season because I'm just gonna hate Takemichi otherwise. Okay, I
Yeah,
might still hate him at the end of the season, but I've watched too much of it to give it up now. Like I'm too. It's like when we got to the end of Yashahime, or if anybody out there's ever watched Dexter or the last season of Dexter. If you've watched 5 seasons of Dexter, it was horrible. It was a sin against television, but I watched every inch of the last season of Dexter just so I could finish it. Okay.
so in the chat, Shori is in the chat, and so I watched girlfriend in a group call, and he's like, yeah, like we were still in it. I'm still gonna watch girlfriend. I'm still gonna watch it to the end. I do want to see how it plays out, but we can drop that one. Tokyo
How
Avengers.
did I miss all of this chat? My chat was set to top chat and not live chat. I'm so sorry, chat. I missed all of your stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm agreeing that I don't particularly like Tokyo Avengers, but I do want to see how it ends.
Yeah.
So we can keep that
I
one
feel
on
like we
there.
need
I don't think there's anything else on here that's worth dropping. Everything
No, I
else,
don't think so either.
yeah,
I'd continue watching everything else we're watching. I'm not super invested in Dragon Maid, and honestly, as much as I like the character design, I'm not super invested in Jahy either. But I don't mind keeping both of them. That's fine.
yeah. So we'll bring in Pirate Princess, see how that works, and we'll be back
Yeah.
in maybe I don't know 4, 5, 6 weeks, depends.
Last, I think like 5 or 6 weeks, something like that. But we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
All right. See
Bye,
ya.
everybody.